My alpha, Aspen of the Stone River pack, brought our 5-year-old daughter, Aella, and his fated mate, Ember, to an alpha gathering. Halfway through the event, he asked Aella to step outside alone to find an allergy medicine for Ember. Terrified, she tried to mind-link her father for help, but he ignored her cries. It was then that the rogues descended, eyes glinting with predatory hunger as they stalked her like prey. In a moment of sheer panic, Aella reached out to me, her mind-link trembling with fear and tears. I raced to her side, but I was too late. When I found her, my heart shattered. Aella lay on the ground, her tiny body marred by blood, still clutching the allergy medicine in her small hand. With her last flicker of strength, she whispered, "Mom, Aunt Ember, medicine," before her eyes fluttered closed, her hand going limp, the bottle dropping to the earth with a soft thud. I broke down, desperately trying to reach my alpha husband through our mind link, but it took agonizing minutes before he finally responded. I asked Aella to buy the medicine. "Why isn't she back yet? Call her and hurry her up. Ember is waiting." His words cut through me, cold and dismissive, before he hung up abruptly. Panic surged within me, and I tried to mind-link him again, but there was only silence. The truth hit me hard, he cared more for Ember than for our daughter. Since that's the case, I vowed through gritted teeth, let Ember be buried with my daughter. I recalled the countless times I had tried to reach him, to mend the rift between us. But every attempt fell flat. Aspen's relationship with Ember was a consuming fire, and I was merely the ash left in its wake. I knew he would always choose her in the back of my mind. She was his fated mate, while I was merely the woman his former alpha father and Luna mother had arranged for him to marry. Years ago, my mother, a loyal pack member of Stone River, saved the Luna Aspen's mother in exchange for her life. Since then, they promised her that they would take care of me. To fulfill that promise, they arranged my marriage to their son, Aspen, even though we weren't fated mates. Years passed in our marriage, and one day, Aspen returned with a woman whom he claimed was his fated mate. Our lives turned upside down, and I felt like he no longer cared for us once Ember entered his life. Aella, my daughter, was the light in my life, and though she had inherited her father's fierce spirit, I worried it would not be enough to shield her from the darkness that loomed over our family. "Mother!" I remember Aella's voice rang in my mind, frantic and scared. I'm outside. I don't know what to do." My heart dropped. "Aella! What's happening?" I rushed to connect, but the link sputtered with her fear. "Aunt Ember. She's saying I caused her allergy." "I didn't. I promise." Her voice trembled, and I could picture her wide eyes, searching for safety in a sea of accusations. "Aella, stay calm. I'm coming." I felt the world blur as I bolted from the shadows of my thoughts, racing toward the gathering. The alpha gathering felt more hostile than ever, each rustle of leaves amplifying my dread. Aspen was supposed to protect our daughter, yet here she was, facing the world alone. "Mother, I see rogues. They're coming." I felt the connection fade, the desperation in her voice splintering my resolve. I pushed harder, my heart racing as I called on the power of my wolf. The primal instinct surged through me, urging me to find my child. But I was too late. Chapter 2. 2 days had passed since Aella's tragic end, and each second felt like an eternity. The world outside my grief continued as if nothing had changed, but inside me, a storm raged. I had buried my daughter beneath the ancient trees of our territory, whispering promises to the wind that I would protect her memory. My heart felt hollow, consumed by despair, yet Aspen roamed the halls of our home, blissfully unaware of the tragedy that had befallen us. Then came Aspen, storming through the door like a thunderclap, his expression a mix of fury and confusion. "Where is Aella?" he demanded, his voice sharp enough to cut through the fog of my sorrow. I looked up from where I sat, surrounded by the remnants of Aella's things. Her favorite scarf lay crumpled in my hands, its warmth a cruel reminder of what I had lost. "She's not here, Alpha," I replied, my voice strained and weary. Aspen's brows knit together in frustration. "What do you mean?" "Ember is convinced Aella caused her allergic reaction." I need to know where she is so I can punish her. I interrupted, unable to contain the anger boiling beneath my grief. You think Ayala would do something like that? How can you even consider it? He stepped closer, his eyes narrowing, oblivious to the truth that gripped my heart. I don't care about your emotions right now, Artemis. I need to keep my pack safe. Ember is not just anyone, she's my fated mate. Fated mate. The words felt like daggers, slicing deeper into my wound. Your fated mate? I echoed, bitterness lacing my tone. What about our daughter? What about the family we were supposed to have? Aspen's face hardened. You know how it is, pack first. Ayala's actions could put us all at risk. Actions? I nearly spat. You're still clinging to Ember's lies while your daughter is out there, possibly in danger. She would never do this. A flicker of confusion crossed his face. What are you talking about? Where is she? Do you even care? I shot back, the flood of emotions threatening to drown me. You're so wrapped up in Ember's drama that you've forgotten about your own flesh and blood. A flesh and blood that could be a threat, he countered, the alpha in him flaring, but I could sense a crack in his confidence. I swear, Alpha, if you don't stop believing Ember's manipulations, you'll lose Ayala forever. My voice cracked, the finality of my words hanging in the air. Aspen stood before me, fists clenched, his eyes blazing with misplaced fury. You're defending her. Ayala almost put Ember's life in danger, didn't she? His voice echoed off the stone walls, a twisted accusation that made my blood boil. Danger was save? I shot back. Chapter 3. Ember isn't even allergic to peanuts. This is just another one of her games, and you're too blind to see it. Aspen's jaw tightened. Don't try to twist this, Artemis. Ember is suffering, and our daughter was the last one with her. It's too coincidental. Coincidental? I scoffed, my voice rising. You think she would purposely hurt someone? Ayala would never do that. She's just a child. Your precious Ember is the real threat here, using her false allergies to pit you against your own family. Aspen's expression darkened, the flicker of doubt I had hoped to see snuffed out by his anger. You're only saying this because you want my sympathy. I can't trust you anymore. You always find a way to manipulate situations to your advantage. Manipulate? My heart raced, the pain in my chest threatening to suffocate me. You think I'm lying? Our daughter is dead, Aspen. She died because of Ember's lies. Dead? His eyes widened, confusion mixed with disbelief. What are you talking about? The rogues. They attacked her when she was scared and lost, trying to get medicine for your damned fated mate. She's gone. I fought to keep my voice steady, but the anguish slipped through, a raw edge to my words. He stepped back as if struck, his mind racing. You're lying, he said, shaking his head as if willing my words to disappear. This is another one of your ploys to gain my sympathy. You'll do anything to keep me away from Ember. Anything? I echoed, incredulous. Aspen, I would never lie about this. She's gone. I held her in my arms. Don't you understand? My voice cracked, the weight of my grief crashing over me like a tidal wave. But Aspen stood firm, his gaze hardening. You think I'll fall for your tricks again? Locking you up was the only way I could protect my pack from your lies. Locking me up? You think that's what I deserve? My anger flared. You've lost your way, Alpha. You're so wrapped up in Ember's manipulation that you can't see the truth right in front of you. He turned away, pacing the room, the conflict within him palpable. I can't let you manipulate me. I won't. Fine, I said, my voice low and fierce. Lock me up. But know this, Ayala is dead because of Ember, and you'll have to live with that choice. You're choosing her over your own daughter. In a swift motion, Aspen crossed the room and gripped my arm, dragging me toward the door. Enough, he shouted. I can't let you do this. You need to think about your actions. Think about my actions? I was nearly screaming now. what about Aella? She's the one who's gone. You're more concerned about saving face than finding the truth. Aspen's face twisted with frustration. You're not in your right mind, Artemis. I'm doing this for your own good. He shoved me into the small room that served as a makeshift cell, slamming the door shut behind me. Let me out. I banged on the door, desperation clawing at my throat. But my words fell on deaf ears. I heard his footsteps retreat, and the sound of his heavy heart echoed in my mind. The silence that followed was suffocating, the reality of my situation crashing down on me. I sank to the floor, my back against the cold stone wall, tears streaming down my face. In that moment, I realized how alone I truly was. The pack I once called family had become a prison, and the man I had loved was lost in a haze of loyalty to a woman who sought only to destroy us. Grief twisted into something darker, igniting a fire within me, a determination to uncover the truth and avenge my daughter. Chapter 4. The next day, the pack was alive with the sound of celebration. Laughter and music echoed through the halls as the banquet commenced, a show of strength and unity that felt hollow to me. I remained locked away, the scent of rich food and joyous voices wafting through the door, reminding me of what I had lost. My heart ached for Aella, and all I could do was replay the events in my mind, desperate to find a way to break free from this small room. I sat against the wall, the cold stone pressing into my back, when suddenly, I heard footsteps approaching. My heart raced. Was it Aspen returning? But the footsteps stopped just outside my door, and I held my breath. A moment later, the door creaked open. There stood Alpha Caden of the Moonshadow Pack, his presence striking and commanding. I knew him, who wouldn't? He was the most powerful alpha in the region. My breath caught in my throat as his gaze locked onto mine. The air around us shifted, heavy with an unspoken connection. I could feel a warmth spreading through me, a sense of belonging that I hadn't realized I craved. Mate, his voice was low, a rumble that sent shivers down my spine. The moment his gaze met mine, an electric current surged between us. I inhaled deeply, his scent enveloping me, wood smoke and the faintest hint of wildflowers. It was intoxicating and felt like home, igniting something primal within me. As he stepped closer, I felt an undeniable pull, like the earth itself was urging us together. My heart raced as if it recognized him before my mind could catch up. Mate, my wolf managed to whisper, overwhelmed by the force of our connection. Are you all right? He searched my eyes, concern etching lines across his brow. What's happened to you? The words faltered on my lips, caught in a tangle of emotions. How could I explain the betrayal and loss that had led me to this moment? But as I looked into his deep-set eyes, I felt an understanding and instinctual knowing that he wouldn't turn away from my pain. I can help you, he said softly, his voice a soothing balm to my wounded heart. But just as I felt hope blossom within me, a voice called from the banquet hall, shattering the fragile moment. Alpha! Come on, we need you for the speech. His beta's voice rang out, sharp and impatient. Caden's gaze flickered toward the sound, his reluctance clear. I'll be right back, he promised, the tension between us thickening. I need to finish this, but I'll find you after. Before I could respond, he stepped back, the connection between us tugging at my core like a lifeline. Chapter 5. I stood in the dim light of my room, the weight of the revelation still fresh in my mind. The most powerful Alpha Caden, my fated mate. The thought sent a jolt of electricity through me, a rush of emotions both exhilarating and terrifying. But I couldn't afford to indulge in dreams of a future with him, not while Aspen and Ember loomed over my life like storm clouds. I quickly gathered my belongings, stuffing clothes, and a few precious mementos into a worn satchel. Every sound outside my door made my heart race. I had to get away. I couldn't stay trapped in a pack that saw me as a pawn in someone else's game. As I crept toward the exit, the echoes of laughter and music from the banquet hall faded into a distant memory. I paused at the door, closing my eyes for a moment, savoring the fleeting connection I'd felt with Caden. But it wasn't enough to keep me rooted in this place. I had to escape. Stepping outside, I felt the cool night air wash over me, a welcome relief from the suffocating atmosphere within. I moved silently through the shadows, my instincts heightened, every sense alert. I could feel the moonlight spilling over me, guiding my way as I made my way toward the tree line. Just as I thought I was in the clear, I heard voices drifting through the air, low and conspiratorial. Curiosity tugged at me, pulling me back toward the pack's main building. I slipped behind a nearby tree, heart pounding as I strained to listen. "Payment's due," a gruff voice said, filled with impatience. "You promised us a cut for the job." "I know what I promised," a woman's voice replied, her tone cool and commanding. "You'll get your payment once the task is completed. I don't need any loose ends." I swallowed hard, a sense of dread pooling in my stomach. What task? They're sent, rogues. And the woman, she was familiar. "Just make sure it's done right. We don't want any witnesses," the woman warned, her voice low and gravelly. "Don't worry. We killed the child perfectly, as promised," the rogue's voice sounded with satisfaction, sending chills down my spine. My breath caught in my throat as realization hit me. They were talking about my daughter. They wanted to silence me. I took a step back, heart racing as I debated my next move. I couldn't just stand by while they just confessed without knowing that they plotted my daughter's death. Ember? I thought to myself, a mix of anger and fear surging through me. How could she betray me like this? I knew she was capable of manipulation, but this was beyond anything I'd anticipated. Chapter 6. I stood frozen in the shadows, my heart hammering as Ember's words sank in. The world around me faded, leaving only the sickening truth echoing in my mind. She had paid the rogues to kill Aella. My daughter, my sweet Aella, was nothing more than collateral damage in Ember's twisted game. How could she? I whispered, the betrayal hitting me like a physical blow. Anger surged within me, hot and consuming. I had always known Ember was capable of manipulation, but this was beyond comprehension. "You know what to do next. Once she's out of the way, I'll have Aspen all to myself," Ember had said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. The urge to confront her surged, but I knew I needed to stay hidden. The rogues would see me as an obstacle, and I couldn't risk losing my chance for revenge. Fueled by grief and rage, I turned away from the scene, my body trembling with the weight of what I had just learned. I needed to shift. I needed the strength and speed of my wolf to escape this nightmare and plot my next move. I dashed through the woods, the moonlight guiding my path until I reached a secluded clearing. With a deep breath, I let the pain consume me, feeling the transformation wash over me in waves. My bones cracked and reshaped, fur sprouting from my skin as I surrendered to the power within. In an instant, I was no longer Artemis, I was a creature of the night, fierce and unyielding. As I sprinted through the trees, my senses heightened. The scent of pine and earth enveloped me, invigorating and grounding. I felt alive, raw energy surging through my veins as I channeled my grief into speed. I was no longer bound by the constraints of my human form. I was a wolf, and I would not rest until Ember paid for what she had done. The howl of the wind echoed in my ears as I raced through the underbrush, my heart heavy but my purpose clear. I would find allies, expose Ember's treachery, and make her pay for Aella's death. Nothing could hold me back now. As I leapt over fallen branches and wove through the trees, the image of my daughter's smiling face burned in my mind. Aella had been innocent, full of life and promise, and now she was gone, snuffed out by the very person who sought to steal my life. I slowed, catching my breath in a small clearing illuminated by the silver light of the moon. My mind raced, strategizing my next steps. I had to gather proof. I couldn't rely solely on my word. I needed to expose Ember's dark deeds to everyone in the pack. Suddenly, the sound of rustling leaves broke through my thoughts. My instincts kicked in, and I turned, muscles tense and ready to defend myself. But I was alone, just me and the weight of my grief. I shook my head, banishing the uncertainty. No. I couldn't linger here. Ember was still in the pack, and I needed to escape before she could sense me. I took a deep breath, my wolf instincts flaring to life as I prepared to run. With renewed determination, I launched myself into the night, my paws pounding against the earth. The trees blurred around me, the world narrowing to a single focus: revenge. I ran faster, letting the wind whip through my fur, carrying away the sorrow and despair that had burdened my heart. I would not stop until Ember paid for her betrayal. I would reclaim my life and avenge my daughter. Chapter 7. The night air was cool against my fur as I sprinted deeper into the forest, the moon casting silvery shadows on the ground. But my escape from Stone River was cut short when a car's headlights pierced through the darkness, illuminating my path. I skidded to a halt, instincts on high alert. The vehicle slowed, and I could make out a familiar figure behind the wheel. It was Alpha Caden of the Moonshadow Pack. He leaned closer to the window, his expression a mix of concern and determination. "It's me. Get in." My heart raced not from fear, but from the strange pull I felt toward him. I hesitated, torn between the instinct to flee and the undeniable connection that urged me to trust him. Finally, I shifted back to my human form, the cool night air brushing against my skin. "Alpha," I said breathlessly as I approached the car. "What are you doing here?" "Looking for you," he replied, his voice steady but urgent. "I can smell your scent all over, and I know by then you went out of your pack. You can't stay out here alone. It's not safe." I glanced back toward the pack territory, a mix of anger and grief flooding my chest. "I can't go back. Not after what they did." Caden's eyes darkened, and he nodded, even though he knew nothing at all. "Whatever it is, I want to help you. You can come to my pack. We can offer you home." A part of me yearned for that refuge, to be away from the chaos and pain that clung to Stone River like a suffocating fog. But another part, the part that felt the weight of Ayala's death, surged with a fierce need for justice. "I know you're offering that because you wanted me as your Luna. And what if I refuse?" I shot back, feeling the bite of my words. He blinked, taken aback, but the tension in his jaw showed he understood the weight behind my refusal. "That's not what I want to discuss right now. I just want to protect you." "Protect me?" I scoffed. "While I sit back and let that woman Ember run free? She's responsible for my daughter's death. I won't rest until she pays for it." Caden leaned closer, intensity radiating from him. I didn't know how it happened, but I ended up saying my anger and pain. Perhaps it was our mate bond moving. He eyed me as if he finally understood what was happening. "I won't let her get away with this either. We'll bring her down together. But you need to come to my pack first. It's not just about you being safe, it's about having the strength of allies." The warmth of his gaze made my heart flutter, but I pushed the feeling aside. "Allies? You want me to be your Luna, to solidify our bond, and then what? Just forget about my vengeance?" "Luna, no, Artemis, I'm offering you a partnership," he said, his tone steady. "Together, we can build something stronger than either of us alone. But I need to know you'll stand with me when the time comes." I swallowed hard, the weight of his words settling heavily on my shoulders. "I'll stand with you, but only if you help me destroy Aspen's pack. I won't be a pawn in a game I didn't choose to play." Caden's gaze was unwavering as he processed my demand. "If that's what you need for justice, I'll stand by your side. But know this, vengeance is a dangerous path. It can consume you. Better to be consumed by vengeance than to live in a world where my daughter's killer walks free." I shot back, the fire in my chest igniting. "If you're not with me in this, I'll find another way." "Then we're in agreement." Caden's voice was calm, but I could see the flicker of determination in his eyes. "I'll help you take down Ember, whoever she is. And together, we'll deal with your damned Alpha, now former Alpha, if you take my hand." I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of clarity amidst the chaos. For the first time since Ayala's death, I felt a sliver of hope, a chance to fight back, to reclaim my life. "Fine. But the moment you betray me, I won't hesitate to sever this bond." "Understood." Caden's lips curved into a hint of a smile, though his eyes remained serious. "Let's get moving. We have a lot to prepare." Chapter 8. It didn't take long before Alpha Caden finally made his move. After weeks of strategizing, he declared war against the Stone River Pack, who didn't even know why all of this was happening. The days since the declaration had passed in a blur of tension and anticipation. The Moonshadow Pack had drawn a line in the sand, positioning themselves as the primary rival to Alpha Aspen's Stone River Pack. Whispers traveled like wildfire through the territory, each rumor of fresh ember igniting fear and curiosity. I could feel the ripple of change in the air, and it sent a shiver down my spine. As I stood in Caden's quarters, the faint scent of pine and cedar enveloped me, a comfort I hadn't anticipated. It was a contrast to the bitterness I had felt in Stone River. I gazed out the window, watching the moonlight filter through the trees, my thoughts swirling like leaves caught in a gust. The weight of vengeance pressed heavily on my chest. "Penny for your thoughts?" My mate's voice broke through my reverie, smooth as honey, yet laced with the authority of an alpha. He had come up behind me, his presence wrapping around me like a warm blanket. I turned slightly, feeling the pull of our bond tighten as he stepped closer. His arm slid around my waist from behind, and I could feel the heat radiating from his body. It was a strange sensation, this mingling of safety and desire. "Just thinking about the fallout," I replied, my voice steady but low. "Everyone's on edge. Aspen won't sit back quietly." Caden inhaled deeply, drawing in my scent, the gesture sending a thrill through me that I quickly suppressed. "You don't have to worry about that, Alpha. He's already underestimated us. He doesn't realize the storm that's coming." His breath was warm against my neck, igniting a fire I had tried to keep at bay. I leaned into him instinctively, allowing the moment to envelop us. But what if he retaliates? He won't take this lightly, especially with everything that's happened. He'll come after us. Caden tightened his grip slightly, a reassuring strength that made me feel protected yet conflicted. "Then we'll be ready for him. We have the pack behind us. They trust you, Artemis. You're one of us now." One of us, the phrase echoed in my mind, tangled with memories of my lost pack. I shook my head slightly. I can't just forget what happened. Ayala deserves justice, not a place in a new pack. "I know," he replied, his voice softening. "And I promise, we will bring Ember to justice. But first, we need to prepare for Aspen's response. It's a chess game, and we can't afford to make a misstep." I turned to face him fully, our eyes locking. "And what's the plan?" "We can't just wait for them to strike first. I won't hide while they plot against us." A flicker of admiration sparkled in Caden's eyes. "That's the spirit. We'll gather the pack and strategize. I want you to lead the training sessions." "Training?" I raised an eyebrow, skepticism creeping in. "What do I know about leading a pack?" "You know about loss, about fighting for what's right," he said, his voice steady. "And that's what they need. You have a fire in you that they can learn from. Besides, I'll be right beside you." I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his words. And what if they don't? Chapter 9. And then it happened. It felt like a blink of an eye the most agonizing war had fallen. Tension hung thick in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. War had been declared, and the weight of it pressed down on the Moonshadow Pack as we prepared for the inevitable clash with Aspen's Stone River Pack. I had never imagined I would find myself here, standing alongside Caden and a group of warriors, all of us transformed into our powerful wolf forms, fur bristling under the silver moonlight. The forest felt alive with anticipation, every sound amplified as we prowled through the underbrush. I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins, igniting my instincts. I was no longer just Artemis, I was a force of nature, a predator ready to unleash my fury on those who had taken everything from me. "Stay sharp, everyone," Alpha Caden growled, his voice low and commanding. "Aspen's already planning an ambush. We need to outsmart him if we're going to turn the tide." I nodded, the ground vibrating beneath my paws as I shifted my weight, feeling the power surging through me. "Let's find a vantage point. We need to know their numbers before we engage." The pack moved as one, a fluid mass of muscle and strength, each of us instinctively knowing our place. I could hear the rustle of leaves as we navigated deeper into the woods, the sense of pine and damp earth filling my nostrils. The night was dark, but our shared purpose lit the way. We climbed a ridge overlooking the clearing where Aspen's pack had gathered. I could see their forms fierce and ready, tension radiating from their stance. Aspen stood at the forefront, his eyes burning with rage, unaware of the storm brewing just beyond the tree line. "Look at him," Caden whispered, his voice laced with disdain. "He thinks he can intimidate us with numbers." Suddenly, a howl pierced the night, echoing through the trees, a signal from Aspen. My heart raced as I saw his pack shift, preparing for an offensive. "Now!" I barked, and with that command, we launched ourselves into the fray. The moment we charged into the clearing, chaos erupted. The sound of growls and snarls filled the air as we clashed with the Stone River wolves. I felt the rush of power as I leaped toward a large, dark-furred wolf, tackling him to the ground. My teeth bared, I aimed for his neck, but he rolled, using his weight to throw me off. "Get up, Artemis!" Caden's voice rang out, and I quickly regained my footing, shaking off the impact. He was locked in a fierce battle with wolves from the other side, their fur slick with sweat and dirt as they circled each other like two titans. "Stay focused," I shouted, dodging another wolf lunging for me. I countered with a swipe of my paw, catching him across the face. He yelped, stumbling back, but I didn't let up. I was fueled by a fury that had been building ever since Aala's death. I fought my way through the throng, every move instinctual. I could hear the cries of my packmates, the satisfaction of victory mingled with the pain of injuries. We were outnumbered, but we were united in purpose. "Flank them," Caden growled, breaking away from Aspen just long enough to rally our warriors. I followed his lead, darting to the side and drawing a few Stone River wolves away from the main battle. They hadn't expected the strategy. They thought we would come head-on, like mindless beasts. As I turned to face them, I felt the thrill of battle coursing through me. I lunged at another opponent, a sleek silver wolf with sharp teeth and a snarl that could cut through steel. We clashed, teeth snapping and fur flying, and I could feel the heat of the fight engulfing me. "Together!" I yelled to the others, and in that moment, we moved as one. The pack surged forward, taking out Stone River wolves one by one. I could see Caden grappling with another huge wolf. I glanced at the chaos around us, a maelstrom of fur and teeth. A fierce roar caught my attention as Aspen emerged from the battlefield, rage clouding his features. "You traitor! You escaped Stone River to be with another fucking alpha. You even brought my daughter with you," he bellowed, his voice a deep growl. "You're a damn fool until now, Aspen." I shouted back, determination lighting my eyes. I felt a surge of power within me, a primal instinct to protect my pack. Chapter 10. The battlefield still buzzed with chaos, growls echoing through the trees as the last remnants of the Stone River pack fought desperately against our onslaught. But after knowing how Aspen foolishly believed Ember until this very moment, I knew I had to forcefully open his eyes. "Alpha Caden," I called out, my voice cutting through the din. He turned, his eyes meeting mine, the intensity of our bond thrumming between us. "I need the rogues. Bring them here." He nodded, understanding the weight behind my words. The time had come for justice, not just for Aala, but for every injustice that had been swept under the rug. The truth would shatter the lies that had bound us for so long. My heart was pounding as I spotted the rogues huddled together, their expressions twisted in fear. I could sense their anxiety. They knew their time was running out. As I approached, I caught sight of a witch standing among them, her presence unmistakable, a hint of magic swirling around her. "Now!" I commanded, my voice echoing like thunder. "You will speak the truth, or I will tear it from your bones." The rogues shifted uneasily, their bravado fading in the face of my fury. The witch stepped forward, a knowing glint in her eye. "They cannot resist the truth potion, Artemis. It will force them to confess." With a quick flick of her wrist, she produced a small vial, shimmering in the moonlight. I could feel the energy radiating from it, a powerful tool in this moment of reckoning. I gestured for her to proceed, and she uncorked the vial, a sweet, intoxicating scent wafting through the air. "Who killed Aala?" I demanded, locking eyes with the closest rogue, a scrappy wolf with dark fur and trembling limbs. "Speak." Under the witch's influence, his body jerked as the potion took hold. Ember paid us, he blurted, eyes wide with fear. She wanted Aella dead. Said it would weaken you. Gasps rippled through the surrounding wolves, and my heart raced as I turned to Aspen, who stood frozen, his eyes flickering between disbelief and rage. What did you say? He growled, his voice low and dangerous. She paid us to kill her, the rogue stammered, sweat beading on his brow. We didn't want to, but she promised us power. Lies. Ember's voice rang out, piercing through the tension. She had emerged from the shadows, fury radiating off her like heat from a flame. They're just trying to save themselves. No. The rogue's voice broke, panic flashing across his face. We took the job. She wanted Artemis distracted so she can be the Luna of Stone River Pack. The truth hung heavy in the air, a palpable force that shifted the tide of the battle. I could see Aspen's expression contort, his fists clenching as the weight of betrayal crashed down upon him. Ember! He roared, his voice reverberating through the clearing. Is this true? She hesitated, her bravado faltering as the realization hit her. I didn't. You didn't think I would find out? I cut in, my voice steady and filled with fury. You thought you could manipulate us, control the narrative, and walk away unscathed? Chapter 11. I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on me, the culmination of all my grief and fury coiling like a serpent ready to strike. This was at the moment I would finally reclaim my power and exact the revenge I had long desired. Look who decided to play the hero, Ember sneered, her lips curling into a mocking smile. You think you can just take everything away from me? I should have been the Luna, Artemis. I was meant to stand at Alpha Aspen's side, not you. The bitterness in her voice was palpable, each word a sharp dagger aimed straight for my heart. I clenched my jaw, fighting against the surge of memories that threatened to distract me. And you betrayed everyone, killed my daughter in the process, just for your greed for that damned power. Her laughter was cold and devoid of remorse. I was merely taking what was mine. You think your life has been hard? You've had everything handed to you while I lived in your shadow, longing for what I could never have. I felt the fire ignite within me, a roaring blaze fueled by her words. You think killing Aella would grant you the life you wanted? You're nothing but a coward hiding behind your greed. Coward? Ember spat, stepping closer, her wolf form shimmering in the moonlight. I did what I had to do. And now, look where we are. You're about to die, and I'll finally be free of you. With a primal roar, I lunged at her, our bodies colliding with a force that shook the ground beneath us. The fight had begun, and every instinct surged to the forefront. I would not let her walk away from this. We grappled, teeth bared, fur brushing against fur as we tumbled across the clearing. Ember's strength was formidable, but my rage drove me to push harder, to fight with every ounce of my being. She managed to twist, throwing me off her and regaining her footing, but I was already back on my paws, eyes locked onto hers. Is this what you wanted, Ember? I growled, circling her like a predator. To feel the thrill of betrayal? To murder an innocent girl just because you couldn't have what you wanted? Shut up, she screamed, launching herself at me again, her teeth snapping just inches from my throat. I dodged, rolling to the side, and sprang back up, ready for her next attack. I felt the heat of her words, but I pushed the pain aside. Your actions have consequences, I snarled, lunging forward and raking my claws across her side. She held in pain but retaliated with a fierce swipe of her own, catching me along my flank. We exchanged blows, a violent dance that felt both exhilarating and horrifying. Each strike reminded me of my loss, but also of the strength I had gained from it. You think you're strong? I taunted, feigning a move to the left before spinning and biting down on her leg. She yelped, trying to shake me off. You don't know anything. Ember hissed, managing to break free and lunging at me again. I was meant to be the Luna. I was his fated mate. You don't deserve him, you never did. With a low growl, I charged at her, fueled by every hurtful word she hurled at me. You bitch. Just for power and luxury, you killed an innocent child. Our bodies collided again, and I felt the exhaustion creeping in. But I couldn't stop, I wouldn't let her win. With a surge of determination, I threw her to the ground, pinning her beneath my weight. She struggled beneath me, but I had her trapped, my fangs inches from her throat. Artemis, she gasped, though her eyes held no fear, only anger. Let me fucking go. No, I said, my voice low and steady. I'm making sure you never hurt anyone again. She managed a derisive laugh, her breath shaky but filled with defiance. You think this will change anything? You're still just a shadow, a replacement for someone who wasn't even worthy of the title. The finality of her words ignited a firestorm within me. I tightened my grip, the weight of her betrayal crashing down on me like a tidal wave. You don't get to decide my worth. You lost that right the moment you chose to betray your own. In one swift motion, I plunged my fangs into her neck, a visceral action that released all the pain I had been carrying. Ember's struggle ceased, her eyes widening in shock before closing forever. As the life drained from her, I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sorrow, the weight of revenge balancing against the astute over her, panting heavily, the realization sinking in. Chapter 12. The remnants of the Stone River pack lay scattered across the battlefield, the scent of defeat mingling with the tang of blood and sweat in the cool night air. The cries of the fallen echoed in my ears, but it was a hollow victory, one that felt more like a shroud than a crown. I stood amidst the aftermath, breathing heavily, my heart heavy with the weight of what had transpired. Aspen approached, his demeanor shifting from the fierce alpha we had fought against to a broken man consumed by guilt. Artemis, he began, his voice cracking like dry leaves underfoot, I need to talk to you. I turned away, the anger simmering within me making it hard to face him. What could you possibly have to say? You've lost everything just like I have. Please, he begged, desperation etched into his features. I need to see Ayala one last time. I thought I was protecting her by trusting Ember. I was a fool. The bitterness in his words stung more than I expected. You think she would want to see you? You betrayed her trust, Aspen. You let your own desires blind you to the truth. His shoulders slumped, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of the man he once was, a leader burdened by the consequences of his choices. I didn't know. I didn't know what Ember was planning. I thought I could control her. Control? I scoffed, the fire in my chest flaring up again. You didn't control anything. You let her manipulate you into a position where you chose her over your own family. My daughter paid the price for your weakness. He fell to his knees, despair etched in his face. Please, Artemis. I'm begging you. I need your forgiveness. I never wanted this to happen. The weight of his sorrow pressed down on me, but I could feel the bitterness rising. Forgiveness? I echoed, my voice icy. What good would that do me? What good would it do Ayala? Nothing can bring her back, Aspen. I stepped back, the distance between us feeling like an insurmountable chasm. You may have lost your pack, but I lost my daughter. You'll have to carry that guilt alone. His head hung low, and the silence between us thickened, filled with unspoken regrets and shattered dreams. I felt no satisfaction in his suffering, only a profound emptiness that gnawed at my insides. I understand, he whispered, tears streaking down his face. But know this, I will spend the rest of my life trying to atone for what I've done. If there's any way to honor Ayala's memory, I will find it. I shifted my eyes away from him, my heart a storm of conflicting emotions. You'll have to do it without me. Live as a rogue and never show yourself to me. You are now banished from Stone River Pack, Aspen. With that, I turned away, each step taking me farther from the pain of loss but deeper into the quiet despair that lay ahead. I moved through the wreckage, past the fallen wolves, toward the place where Caden waited, his presence a beacon amid the chaos. He spotted me and rushed forward, his eyes searching mine for signs of victory. Artemis, he said, voice low and steady, you did what you had to. I did, I replied, though my voice felt hollow. But it doesn't feel like enough. He took a step closer, wrapping an arm around my shoulders, the warmth of his touch grounding me. You avenged Ayala. You gave her the justice she deserved. Justice, I repeated, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. It doesn't change anything. She's still gone. Caden sighed, his expression softening as he brushed his thumb against my cheek. I can't pretend to understand your pain, but I will be here for you. You're not alone anymore. But even as he spoke, I could feel the emptiness within me expanding, swallowing any hope I had for healing. I don't know how to move on from this, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. The thirst for revenge is sated, but the ache of loss remains. He pulled me closer, wrapping his arms around me as if to shield me from the world. We'll find a way together. We'll honor Allah's memory in our own way. She would want you to live, to find happiness again. As I leaned against him, I felt the weight of my decisions pressing down, the consequences of a life lived in shadows and secrets. What if I can't? I asked, vulnerability creeping into my tone. Then we'll take it one day at a time, Caden replied, his voice steady and reassuring. For the first time since Allah's death, I allowed myself to hope, even if just a flicker. I might never fully heal, but I would try to honor her in every moment of joy and pain. I was ready to face whatever came next, not just for myself, but for Allah. Her legacy would not fade into the shadows. It would guide me, even in the darkest of nights. The end.